not once, but twice. And thanks for having me.
Thank you, my man.
What a cool topic. I mean,
so this video shows you why father's rights guys like Eric Carroll from Dad Talk Today. You saw the circular logo in the background. It said Dad Talk Today. That's Eric Carroll on the left in that video. Representative Matt Gaetz on the right. Representative from Florida who, was appointed by Trump or nominated by Trump to be Attorney General, I think it was. And there was a big scandal about whether he's messing with little girls or not. So I take the position. I don't put anything past anybody in politics and government, but I don't presume anybody's guilty of anything either until I have some evidence. But the point of me responding in this video is just to show you what a sucker and weirdo and typical idiot Eric Carroll is, the guy who hosts Dad Talk Today. He's sitting here doing photo ops with famous people, and all he's talking about is we need 50-50 laws or new legislation. I have a couple of videos on YouTube. I have one about Florida's law. Florida had passed, it was just not this past summer, but 2023. I think they passed a law presuming 50-50. And I know people getting screwed in Florida. The issue is not the laws. The laws are great. Now, if you start with a presumption of 50-50, it doesn't do you any good if they can trump that with child abuse, domestic violence, and stuff like that. I've talked about this before. You have to be literally retarded or a numbnuts or a low IQ fool to think if we change the laws to a presumption of 50-50, the courts will never get it wrong again. This is where you have a guy like Eric Carroll who apparently lost in court and got his butt kicked. They're at the forefront of what it takes for guys to win in court. But what? We're so backwards. I wonder if during the civil rights movement, when we know about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, and the Black Panthers and a few others, but I wonder if there was a whole bunch of fakers for the civil rights movement at the time, because there's a whole bunch of fakers for the father's rights movement. Eric Carroll, all he ever does is talk about. The reason why I know Eric Carroll is a buster and a fake and a phony, or he could just be dumb, and he's got a great following. And he says some stuff that's true, like everybody else. Even cult leaders, people who are part of cults, like Jim Jones, who had people drink the Kool-Aid and commit suicide, or any other. There was this spaceship one, like these people were waiting for the aliens and they killed themselves. I forget what that cult was called. But they'll tell you a little bit of the truth. Like if you're a Bible believer, they'll say stuff about the Bible, and then they'll twist the stuff a little bit, and they'll twist it a little bit more, or whatever. Just like anybody deceiving anybody about anything, or a pedophile luring somebody. Hey, I care about you. Hey, I'm a good guy. Here's some candy, little kid. They show you all the signs of somebody who's good, and then they trap you. Eric Carroll talks about how child support sucks, and child support sucks, and child support sucks. And the family court sucks, and child support. And every time I've flipped across, I've only seen a couple of things. All he does is whine, cry, piss, and moan about the system. He has no solutions except, we need legislation. The laws already say best interest of the child. There's states that are 50-50 that dads still get screwed in. What's the problem? The problem is the judge's interpretation of the law, application of the law. Black folks had constitutional rights in the Jim Crow South, but were they treated equally as if they're equal under the Constitution? No. Why? Because the culture of everybody around them and everybody in power hated them, so they would rule against them in court, or they made Jim Crow laws against them in violation of the Constitution. Or if you were a black man accused of raping a white woman in criminal court, they hated you already so much that they would look for a way to fry you or give you the electric chair, throw you in jail. They have such disregard for a man accused of domestic violence in case he did it because a judge was molested by her dad, so she hates every man who's accused and she wants to rescue everybody. They might even go in for good intentions, but they're so prejudiced. They have such wounds from that type of person. You know, there's a family member um, of mine who has passed away now, but she was assaulted when she was younger by a heavy-set black man. She was assaulted before she was even in middle school, and then when she went to high school, a heavy-set black man approached her and was trying to date her, and then people had to tell him to lay off. The people that knew her had to tell him to lay off because they knew that she had a history of being assaulted by somebody who looked like him, so it triggered her memory. She didn't hate black people, she didn't hate big people, she didn't hate whatever, but that resonated in her mind. So you can't tell me that people who become judges don't go in there with their prejudices or their wounds or their misperceptions and stuff. So that's the root of the problem in family court. Because if people read the law and they got common sense, the average person on the street can read the law and say, and thinks that kids should be with their parents, and everybody's out there crying about dads being involved, but nobody knows that women go to court and lie about this stuff. So the thing with Eric Carroll and a lot of these guys, they look like they love the spotlight. This is the first time in my life I'm actually doing something that's really significant or famous or important. And I get to stand in front of these important people and do these photo ops and stuff. And you are not changing or accomplishing anything at all. What are you accomplishing? And so all Eric Carroll ever talks about on his podcasts or his shows is how horrific or how somebody got screwed or a nightmare or a bad story. He never talks about people who won or how they won. That's insane. So I DM'd him on Facebook. I said, how come you only share the horror stories? How come you don't talk about people who actually win? And you just talk about these losing stories, and it just feeds the hopelessness. That guy blocked me immediately. He didn't even want to engage or talk. And I'm somebody who won in court, so he doesn't want to hear about somebody who won in court. And I wasn't even really attacking him. I'm like, why do you share all this negative stuff and don't give any positive stories and give people any hope? Because if I got up here and just whine, cried, and piss and moan, I'd have 1 million followers by now. I've been at this longer than the average guy that's out there. I've been at this longer than Judge Anthony, Eric Carroll. Is there anybody out there that's kind of famous that I can think of? I mean, just about anybody you could see out there talking about fathers' issues or any fathers' rights movement group meeting, fathers' rights movement group leader. I've been out here longer than all of them. Everybody that I knew and saw across the country, well, Ray Lautenschlager in Ohio, he's been around longer, but he's kind of fading off. And I debated that guy. He's with Ohio Family Rights. And you can go there and you probably get some good information. His wife promises that they do or his girlfriend or whatever she is, that they help people win for free in Ohio. So go ahead and hit him up. I've heard nightmare stories from people, but people got nightmare stories from me. They say all kinds of stuff about me. So I've only heard about bad stories a few times about Ray. But Ray said, I'm going to pass laws, 50-50 presumption, and clear, cogent, convincing evidence that the father shouldn't have 50-50. And then that's the only reason to overcome it. What you should have is a 50-50 law, and only if the father has been convicted of child abuse or domestic violence in criminal court. Not that they have the restraining order, not that the mother alleged, or not that it's clear and cogent, convincing evidence instead of preponderance evidence. If you don't know what those things mean, you need a consult with me. The end. If you don't want a consult, want some free stuff like a guy I talked to today, want to go 20 minutes over get the bare minimum 30 minutes and then ask me 2 hours of questions in the 30 minutes, and then you get mad that I say I can't do this free 20 minutes every time we talk, and you're never going to call me again, then you show your true colors. That's some punk ass bitch stuff, to be honest with you. But if you want some real help, you need a consult with me. But guys like Eric Carroll out here, they're out here just pushing negativity, hopelessness, and until we change the laws, everything's going to be the same. And what has he accomplished? Nothing. He's famous, and everybody loves him. It's full of shit.